She spends $1.2 million a day just to cover her daily expenses. Her breakfast is served with 108 dishes. When she applies her makeup, more than a dozen eunuchs attend to her at the same time. The tea she drinks must be brewed in silver pots and served in jade cups. She lives in the most exquisite palace in the Forbidden City. The gardens she commissioned drained the empire's naval funds. Her clothes are adorned with thousands of pearls, and every stitch is sewn with golden thread. And as she sits on her dragon-carved, gilded throne outside the palace walls, China is sinking into defeat, reparations, famine, and unrest. She is Empress Dowager Cixi, a woman who for half a century wielded absolute power over the fate of an empire. Welcome to A Different Story. I'm Jason. Today, we won't be talking politics or conspiracies. We'll only take you inside the world of Empress Dowager Cixi, a lavish, almost absurdly opulent court during the late Qing Dynasty. The wealthiest woman in the empire. Empress Dowager Cixi's life was like a real-life palace drama. Born in 1835 into a declining Manchu noble family, she entered the Forbidden City at the age of 17 as concubine Lan, and became the concubine of Emperor Xiangfeng. 3 years later, she gave birth to Emperor Xiangfeng's only son, Zai Chun, who would later become Emperor Tongzhi. That one child completely changed the course of her life. In 1861, Emperor Xiangfeng passed away. Cixi was only 26 years old. According to the emperor's will, the government was to be assisted by 8 regents, and she was just the emperor's birth mother. But she refused to accept the role history had planned for her. In a stunning political move, she allied with Prince Geng and orchestrated the Xin Yu coup, shocking the entire court. In a single night, she overthrew the regent council and seized the highest power. From that moment, under the guise of curtain governance, she became the true ruler of the Qing Empire. Power became her shield, and it laid the foundation for the extravagant life she would lead. From that point on, her life was free from any constraints. The gold, silver, and treasures of the palace, everything existed to serve her. And in the shadows of power, she learned how to transform governance into an opulent ritual. Her extravagance began with clothing. For Empress Dowager Cixi, clothing wasn't just decoration, it was a symbol of power, a gilded armor. This is Empress Dowager Cixi's peacock and peony patterned undershirt, which was once exhibited at the British Museum's China, a Century of the Late Qing Dynasty special exhibition. The design features peacocks diving among blooming peonies rendered in turquoise, violet, and bright yellow, creating a striking and harmonious color palette. The hem is decorated with wave and mountain patterns, symbolizing imperial majesty and stability, and showcasing the peak of Cixi silk weaving craftsmanship of the era. It is a rare and exquisite antique masterpiece. Today, it is housed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, with an estimated value of $20 million USD. Then there's the peacock feather cloak, measuring 115 centimeters in length, made with precious peacock feathers and silk thread. When it caught the sunlight, it shimmered and sparkled, an epitome of luxury. At a Christie's auction in December 2008, it was sold for $70,000 US. Cixi had a particular fondness for peacock feathers. Elements of them appeared in her clothing as well as in her ceremonial processions. But perhaps the most iconic piece in her wardrobe was the legendary pearl cloak, a symbol of her opulent taste. It was a signature garment, appearing in countless films and documentaries. The cloak was adorned with 3,500 pearls, each the size of a canary's egg, smooth, lustrous, and perfectly uniform in color. The edges were decorated with emeralds. To create this cloak, it took 160,000 taels of silver, equivalent to about 4.8 million USD today. And this was just one of over 100 such high-value garments she owned. So how many clothes did Empress Dowager Cixi have in total? The answer is 70,000 pieces. If she wore a new outfit every day, it would take her 192 years to wear them all. From time to time, she would instruct the eunuchs to bring all her clothes for display. The eunuchs would hold out trays, each with 3 garments, and walk them past her. Sitting on her throne, Cixi would glance at them, and if she liked one, she'd signal for it to be stopped. Her luxury wasn't just limited to clothing. According to palace maids, Cixi had a particular fondness for silk satin socks. To ensure perfection, she demanded that the seamstress hide all the stitches with intricate patterns. A skilled seamstress would need an entire week to make a pair of silk satin socks that satisfied her. Even with such exquisite craftsmanship, Cixi would wear the silk satin socks only once, then discard them. Sometimes she would change several pairs in a single day. To meet her needs, the palace employed 3,000 seamstresses working day and night to make clothes and silk satin socks just for her. This wasn't just luxury, it was a lifelong display of power. For Empress Dowager Cixi, clothes were never just fabric she wore. They were an extension of her power, a royal illusion woven from silk and golden thread. Food, a feast of flavor and luxury. Empress Dowager Cixi's daily meals weren't just about eating. They were a ritual, an extravagant feast performed just for her. According to royal archives and palace-made recollections, Cixi had 4 meals a day, 2 main meals at 10:30 a.m. and 4 p.m., plus 2 additional snacks in the morning and evening. Each meal was a massive affair. One main meal required the preparation of 108, even 120 dishes, along with 45 desserts. Every dish had to be unique, using the most luxurious ingredients, rare delicacies from both the mountains and the seas. To ensure safety, all of Cixi's dinnerware was made of silver. It was said that if any dish was poisoned, the silver would immediately turn black. The palace even employed dedicated food tasters, eunuchs who would taste each dish before it was served to the empress. When Cixi dined, there were always 4 eunuchs in attendance, ready to serve according to her silent cues. With just a glance, she could signal them to bring a dish to her. If she took 3 bites of a dish, the eunuchs would call out, "Withdraw," and the dish would be immediately taken away. Discarded. This wasn't wastefulness, but a strict palace tradition. The rule was designed to protect the emperor or empress from potential poisoning. Since favorites were often targeted by court conspirators, they were instructed to eat small portions, often changing dishes to avoid danger. Cixi's meals were prepared by a specialized team called the Shaoshan Fong. It was a vast organization with 300 chefs and over 100 stoves, each stove meticulously numbered with rigorous rules. Statistics show that Cixi's daily meals required a staggering 860 kilograms of ingredients. She also believed that human breast milk could preserve her beauty, so she had several wet nurses on hand to provide it throughout her life. The grand palace banquet on New Year's Eve took luxury to its extreme. In the Great Hall, there were 3 banquet tables, symbolizing heaven, earth, and humanity. Cixi's throne sat in the center, symbolizing her position between heaven and earth, her unmatched supreme status. That evening, the meal consisted of 500 dishes, each worth a fortune. The delivery of the dishes was an elaborate ceremonial display. 500 eunuchs lined up, passing the dishes from the imperial kitchen all the way to the Great Hall. Every movement was perfectly choreographed, following strict rhythms and sequences. It's said that the eunuchs practiced this routine hundreds of times a day to ensure flawless performance in front of the Empress. As the palace lit up in golden light, fireworks filled the sky and the sounds of firecrackers rang through the air. Empress Dowager Cixi sat on her golden throne, enjoying the feast that was solely hers. But the other side of this luxury was a harsh reality. Residence, a kingdom of luxury. If her clothes were Empress Dowager Cixi's armor, then her residence was the spatial arrangement of her rule. Cixi primarily resided in the Shoshu Palace. By the way, as we mentioned in our previous video about Puyi's Empress Wanrong, she lived in the Shoshu Palace after Cixi's death. While not the largest palace in the Forbidden City, Shoshu Palace was unparalleled in its opulence and decoration. In 1884, to celebrate Cixi's 50th birthday, the Shoshu Palace underwent a massive renovation that cost 630,000 taels of silver, equivalent to about $20 million today. The air quality inside the palace was also carefully managed. While traditional royal palaces often used incense to mask any unpleasant odors, Cixi preferred the natural fragrance of fruits, particularly apples. She ordered her servants to place large amounts of fruit in fruit baskets and porcelain jars, changing them daily to keep them fresh. According to Qing Palace archives, in 1898 alone, Cixi consumed 158,320 apples, 111,750 autumn pears, 77,300 crab apples, 53,295 red pears, 2,400 official fruits, 2,275 persimmons, 4,344.5 baskets of sweet peaches, 920 baskets of plums, 694 baskets of apricots, 429 baskets of sandfruit, 429 baskets of cherries, 202.5 baskets of sour peaches, 16,663 pounds of fresh hawthorn, 16,385 pounds of grapes. Beyond Shoshu Palace, Cixi also oversaw the massive renovation of the Summer Palace. The Summer Palace spans an area of 3.009 square kilometers, with water covering about 3/4 of it. The park features over 3,000 buildings and more than 1,600 ancient trees. From 1886 to 1895, Cixi used 5 million taels of silver, about $150 million today, to rebuild the Summer Palace, previously known as Qing Garden, which had been destroyed by the British and French during the Second Opium War. She renamed it Yiheyuan, or Summer Palace. Once the renovation was complete, Cixi held a grand 60th birthday banquet at the Summer Palace, which cost 10 million taels of silver, about $300 million today. She would spend much of her time living there, using it as her main residence and a place for her official activities. Both the Shoshu Palace and the Summer Palace renovations demonstrate not just Cixi's extravagant tastes, but also reflect the concentrated use of imperial financial resources on her personal luxury and the splendor of her reign. The luxurious end. After half a century of power and opulence, Empress Dowager Cixi passed away at the age of 73 in 1908 in Zhongnanhai. Her funeral lasted an entire year. Years later, a historical account, Yi Xuan Notes, began circulating, detailing Cixi's burial items. The author was her personal eunuch, Li Liangying, and his nephew.
At the bottom of her coffin was a golden silk blanket embedded with 12,604 pearls and 85 sapphires and rubies. In her mouth, she held a night pearl, a traditional Chinese funerary custom symbolizing the hope that the deceased would be guided through the darkness of the afterlife by light. According to records, the total value of Cixi's burial items exceeded 15 million taels of silver, which is roughly equivalent to $450 million today. However, these extravagant treasures could not stop the empire's decline. Only 4 years after Cixi's death, Puyi, the last emperor of China, abdicated, and the Qing dynasty was brought to an end. In 1928, Sun Dianying used a military exercise as a cover to secretly dig up the tombs of Empress Dowager Cixi and Emperor Qianlong in the eastern Qing tombs. The theft lasted 7 days and nights, during which vast amounts of gold and treasures were taken, including the night pearl Cixi had held in her mouth. The golden, magnificent years of the Qing dynasty, the unimaginable wealth and luxury, all turned to dust. What remains is a profound question in history. Can luxury delay the inevitable downfall? This is A Different Story. I'm Jason. Thanks for watching and subscribing. See you in the next video.